Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of IK NHL Daily Talk. My name is Jakob Baron, and of course, I am joined here by my other host, Kyle Wasilincha. Kyle, say what's up to the fam.
Hey guys, what's up? We're happy to be here, of course, as always. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Jakob, I don't really want to, speak too much. I'm ready to get straight into it today.
Yeah, me too. I think that, I'm just going to recap real quick what we're going to go over. We're going to go over the news topics. There's 6 games that we're going to recap. There's 6 games that are scheduled for today. And obviously, everybody's favorite, the picks of the day, as we are going to make two each today, as we did not get to make it yesterday. So, Kyle, go ahead and introduce the first news, as you guys can see on the screen.
Well, actually, now they can see it. I actually had it hidden, Jakob, so I'm a smart boy. I made sure to
Oh,
hide it for them, well, away from them, and you'll see that in the YouTube video when we give it a watch. But yes, the Oilers actually acquire Connor Murphy from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for it was a 2028 second round pick, and also the Oilers get Connor Murphy at 50% retained, which personally I love this deal, and I actually just made a short on it as well, and that was posted to YouTube. And then if you guys follow our Instagram as well, which is also IKNHL Daily Talk, you guys can go ahead and watch that reel as well. So yeah, no, I love to see it, and I mean, Connor Murphy is exactly what we need. We're a team that's struggling to play defense, struggling to keep pucks out of our net, and he doesn't score a lot of points or a lot of goals at all, which actually I will pull up his stats for you guys, since obviously going the other way is just a second round pick. But, for Connor Murphy, he's a 32-year-old defender who is 6'4", 212, so he's definitely got a bit of size to him as well. And then on top of that, this season he's got 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points, but the points are what you get for him for. Like, I seen it in advanced analytics, and Jakob, I don't know if you knew this, but he's actually like 98th percentile in the way of penalty kill defense, which means he's in the top like 2% for defenders
wow,
on the
that is
PK.
that is very good. We definitely need someone, as our PK has been struggling this year.
Yeah, and we get Connor Murphy at 2.2 million with that 50% retention. And mind you, his deal is up at the end of the year, but nah, I love this move. I think this was an excellent move by Stan Bowman, and albeit he does bring in, a guy from Chicago that he does know very well, but it's a good move. I have no arguments here at all.
Me neither. I think it's a phenomenal player, and that this move could, cherish Edmonton fans, could finally make us happy, for once. With, like I said, how bad our penalty kill has been, getting a guy like Connor Murphy in there, and that might solve a couple of our problems.
Potentially, we'll see, but yeah, Jakob, do you have anything else to add, or are you ready to move on to our next topic?
I unfortunately don't have anything related to this, so I'm going to move on to the next topic, which sees a signing of a defenseman. The Seattle Kraken have signed defenseman Gustav Olofsson to a 1-year deal worth 775K AAV. A little bit about himself. Obviously, he is a 31-year-old defenseman, and he's been playing most of his time with the Coachella Valley Firebirds in the AHL. And this year, he has 2 goals and 14 point assists for 16 points in 29 games played with the Valley Firebirds, which is the Seattle Kraken's affiliate. So, like Kyle always says, it's a low risk move. You get a guy who can, spend most of his time in the AHL, and maybe he can go call up. Like, you can see, Kyle, could you go down real quick so we can see if he's ever played with the Seattle Kraken before?
He
Yes, he has
has.
played in the 2022-23, but he's only played 3 games, and he's a guy that's, most AHL wise, he's getting on that older side. So he's more like Brice Bois from yesterday, where, he was more of a AHL type of guy, and that's probably where he's going to spend most of his time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you, Jakob, that I think, he's going to spend majority of his time in the AHL, but for a guy that you can get for league min and he can play NHL minutes for you on top of be a, serviceable AHL defender, and he is an assistant captain on that, Coachella Valley roster, so obviously he's a leader in that room too. And yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the move. I don't know Gustav Fors or I almost said Gustav Forsling. That is not the guy we're talking about here. But
Yeah.
oh man, Gustav Forsling, Gustav Nyquist, nah, Gustav Olofsson right here we got. But yeah, no, I like the signing. I think it's good. And yeah, unless Jakob, you have something else to add, I'm ready to move on.
We can move on to the next signing that we have.
All right. And this signing sees the Devils sign a rookie in, well, I guess not a, well, I guess he is a rookie in the AHL, which we see them sign Matthias Malovsky, so a Czech, is he a forward or defender? He's a forward as he's a center slash winger, and he's only 21 years old. Not the biggest guy, but most Czech guys aren't. And he was a sixth round pick in 2024, so yeah, he earned himself, it was a 2 year entry level contract, correct, Jakob?
It was that. Yep.
But yeah, in his first season with the Utah Comets in the AHL, he has 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points in 35 games, which, I mean, for a rookie, that's not all that bad at all. And in the QMJHL last season, of course, he had 83 points in 57 games. And, oh, I mean, it's literally like, it's another one of those moves where it's like, there's pretty much zero risk to it. And, I mean, I'm not saying it's guaranteed by any means, but this guy could potentially be a player for, the New Jersey Devils into the future. And yeah, best of luck to him, of course.
Yeah. So he's a phenomenal player, and I will see what he can do with the New Jersey Devils. But moving on to our last topic, unless of course Kyle has something else to add.
I was gonna say, whatever the last topic is, I do not have a slide for it, Jakob. So you're just gonna have to say it.
Well, it's the reason why Kyle does not have a slide for it, ladies and gentlemen, is because of the fact that we mentioned these yesterday, and we just wanted to clarify all the other ones real quick. So, Ajapani and Regula both cleared waivers today. So did Brice Bois, as we expected Brice Bois to
Mm-hmm.
clear it. But
And
the
Luke
only
Kunin.
one that was
Luke
and Luke
Kunin
Kunin.
cleared
So
too.
everybody cleared waivers except for one player, and that was Robbie Fabry. We mentioned his stats yesterday, so obviously we're not going to recap his stats. If you want to see his stats, you got to go over to the last YouTube video that we made. But Robbie Fabry was claimed off of waivers today by the Minnesota Wild. So Minnesota get themselves a bottom six forward. So we will see how he turns out in Minnesota. But we just wanted to recap and talk about what we talked about yesterday with the waivers. And we did mention that we were going, once we got news the next day about whether or not they cleared or not, we were going to talk about it. And the only one that did not clear that got claimed was Robbie Fabry. So.
Yeah, I mean, I personally I like the move for the Wild as, I mean, there's no risk to it. If he doesn't work out on your roster, you send him down and maybe he gets reclaimed by St. Louis or maybe he just goes and plays in Iowa. But yeah, good move by the Wild. And yeah, are you ready to recap some hockey games, Jakob?
I am finally ready. We've been talking for about 8 minutes now about news, but I'm ready to finally talk about some hockey games.
Which oh, you know what I forgot, Jakob, is I forgot to actually pull up the daily face-off starting goaltender. So before we, get on to the full show, I'm gonna pull that up real quick just so I can show the fans at the end of the day when we're summarizing the schedule for tomorrow. I'm being a smart boy,
Okay.
by the way.
Okay.
Which, all right, there we go. And okay, now I have it. And you know what, Jakob? I decided that I am going to go first today.
Well, I do
Whether
want to
you,
mention something real quick. John Gibson is has been injured today, so when we talk about the goalie performances, I do want to mention that
oh,
as you guys can see, you guys saw John Gibson's name pop up. He did get hurt in the game today against Nashville, but I'm going to save that, talk about that on tomorrow's episode when we talk about the goalie performances.
I see. All right. Well, here. Well, our first matchup of the day for yesterday consisted of the Vegas Golden Knights visiting the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Penguins took this one 5-0. So, a pretty dominant showing where the shots were actually tied at 22 apiece. But yeah, the Penguins extend their point streak to 5, and unfortunately for Vegas, Mark Stone once again leaves a hockey game right before the deadline. And coincidence? I think not. But yeah, ultimately, Shilovs, who was in net for the Penguins, ultimately recorded a shutout. But we'll go over the goaltending numbers after because I want to talk about some goal scorers. So Ben Kindle opened the scoring for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Anthony Manta would get an assist, and that was just before the 5 minute mark left in the first, and that was on a wrist shot. But then moving into the second period, we'd see Yegor Chinikov, almost 6 minutes into the second, score once again a wrist shot, and I guess they're all wrist shot goals, so I don't need to say that no more. But yeah, that would be assisted by Tommy Novak and Justin Brazeau, which although those guys are having pretty good seasons for Pittsburgh and are part of the reason why, the Penguins are in this playoff hunt right now. But then moving on, at just about the halfway point of the second, Brian Rust would score on the power play, and that would be assisted by EK65 and Evgeny Malkin. And then the Penguins would once again score at, 5 minutes later. I don't know, I guess the Penguins love to score in about roughly 5 minute intervals in this period, but we would see Rickard Rakell once again on the power play score, and that would also be assisted by Erik Karlsson, and Brian Rust, instead of scoring this time, would record an assist. But in the third period, you know, what the heck is it with the 5 minutes, bro? 15 minutes. I mean, there were 5 minutes left in the third period, and Justin Brazeau scored. And, I mean, at this point, it was not a game, but ultimately he made it 5-0, and Ben Kindle would get a second point of the night, along with a Chris Letang assist. But moving on to your three stars tonight, we see Ben Kindle, of course, score a goal and an assist, and I think we've spoken about him a few times now, but this kid's good, and I think he's, legit. And I think we're gonna see him be a very good player for a long time in this league. And
Mm-hmm.
then number two, we have Artur Shilovs, who of course had a 22 save shutout for a 1.000 save percentage, which is as good as you can get. And then Erik Karlsson with his 2 power play assists is your third star of the night. And then I will move on to the Vegas goaltending stats, because obviously we saw that Shilovs had a shutout, and in this one, I guess it was Aiden Hill, and oh brother, his atrocious season kind of continues. As I don't know what to say, man. His season's just not been good, but he allowed 5 on 22, and that is 773, and that's all I have to say, except for the fact that this was actually the first matchup between these two teams on the year, and the Penguins took this one, and obviously when they meet again in, I guess, 11 days from their first matchup, they will be looking to, ice the season series 2-0, and Vegas will be looking to hold on and not lose anymore.
Yeah, very, very good performance by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I'm ready to move on to the next game, which saw yet another shutout. And
Mm-hmm.
as you guys can see, the headline: Soderblom gets his first ever NHL shutout. So congrats to him. And I guess Chicago had lost 3 games in a row, but now they have put themselves in the win column with a win over the Utah Mammoth. It was 4-0. The shot total was 28-22 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. And we'll go over the goal scorers real quick, which first goal was scored by Teuvo Teravainen with 55 seconds left in the first period on a power play. Then we go into the second period where Nick Foligno, unassisted, makes it 2-0 for Chicago. And Lendon Slager on an assist from Moore and Levshinov makes it 3-0. And Teuvo Teravainen ices this game with a snapshot shorthanded a minute and 25 into the third period to make it 4-0 on assist by Vlasic and Murphy, who just got. So I guess Murphy got one final point before he left to the Edmonton Oilers. Um, the third stars of the game, obviously, Soderblom is the first star who he allowed no goals and had a 1.00. Ivo Teravainen, who had 2 goals, the first and the last goal, was the second star with 2 points, and Nick Foligno, who got the goal, excuse me, was the third start of the game. So we'll go over the goalie performances real quick for the Utah Mammoth, which saw Karol Vejmelka allow 4 on the 28 he faced and had himself an 857 save percentage. So not the best, but at the end of the day, the Chicago Blackhawks just simply outplayed the Utah Mammoth, and it showed. The season series is 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. They meet twice here in a week from today when this episode is recorded, and then 3 days after that other game. So they're gonna be looking to battle it out, and Utah's looking to tie the series up. Chicago's looking to win this one. So there you have it, folks. Chicago wins this one 4-0.
Yeah, no, good game by the Hawks, and yeah, I'm excited to see Connor Murphy play, especially since he got his last assist in Chicago, and hopefully, I mean, spoiler alert, the Oilers do play tomorrow, and I'm hoping we will see, well, tomorrow as in Tuesday, because we're talking about right now Sunday's games. So,
Yeah.
oh brother, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyways, I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next game. Which, yeah, I know, great win by Chicago, by the way. I apologize if that was offsetting for anyone because I don't know why I just got so sad. I have no idea. It just happened, but
I don't know either. Yeah.
oh shoot. Oh, but yeah, in our next matchup, we see the Winnipeg Jets face off against the San Jose Sharks, and they would lose this one 2-1 in overtime. And the Sharks did outshoot them 33-28. So not a lot of goals for the amount of shots in this one, but yeah, apparently the forward wins it at 140 after Smith scores early in third, which wow, that really tells me a lot. Forward scores, like who is this forward that they speak of? I guess we'll
It
find out,
says
won't we?
right there. It says right there, right above who it is.
Oh.
Maybe if you read the entire headline, not just look, oh, forward. It says right there.
Jakob, I'm a bit hungry. I'm tired, and I
I
don't know.
could tell.
I've just been tired lately. I don't know what it is, but yeah, Michael Misa
Oh,
got the OT goal. I apologize. You probably seen that. We're like, this guy's a dumbass.
I
And
did
that's
actually say that in my head, bro. I was like, oh, wait, this guy just thought that it said forward.
All right, well, we'll go over your goal scorers on the game, which the Jets actually opened the scoring 2 minutes and 44 seconds into the first period, and we would see Morgan Barron open the scoring off of a Tanner Pearson and Cole Koepke assist, which, by the way, my friend and I were actually talking about the Winnipeg Jets earlier, and how based off of where they are in the standings, we think they're going to sell, and all three of these guys came up in our conversation as to guys that they could potentially trade. So stay tuned for the deadline, of course. But moving on to the third period, because we saw no goals in the second, Will Smith scored a minute and 47 seconds in the period, which this guy right here is the forward, the guy that I'm circling with my mouse. But yeah, Will Smith scores on a bat shot. So I guess it was in the air and he goes and bats it out of the air, which with Jakob saw my beautiful impression of someone batting a puck in. And then Colin Graff and Macklin Celebrini got the 2 assists on this goal. But then going into overtime, just a minute and 40 seconds, the forward himself scores. To his fourth of the year, assisted by William Eklund and Sam Dickinson, and ultimately he would ice it. And Jakob, I'm going to call Michael Misa the forward from now on.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking from now on, we're just going to call him the forward because Kyle just made a big, brutal mistake.
That was pretty funny. But yeah, the Sharks with this win actually are now leading the season series 2-0. So the Jets have already lost, but on their final matchup right near the end of the season, they're going to try to redeem themselves at least a little bit. But yeah, moving on to the goaltending. Oh my brother, goodness, brother. The 3 stars of the game are. This has been an abomination of a performance by me, but Alex Nedeljkovic, after only allowing a singular goal, had a 964 save percentage, and ultimately he made 27 saves on 28 shots. And then moving over to the Winnipeg Jets goaltender, Connor Hellebuck, your second star of the night, allowed 2 goals on 31 shots and had himself a 939 save percentage on the night. And that was not good enough. And then, of course, the forward is your third star of the night. And yeah, he is the forward, and we will mention his name once per episode so you guys can clue into, who the forward is.
That is Michael Misa for anybody watching.
Yes, and yeah, I'm not clicking on the goaltending performances because we seen them right there, and yeah, Jakob, I'm done with that performance. You can move on.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which saw the St. Louis Blues overcome the Minnesota Wild 3-1. The shot total was 24-23, and if we look at the headline, Robert Thomas actually returned from IR and had himself 2 points in his return. So, and Kirill Kaprizov ties Minnesota's franchise goals record. As you guys, I do know
Wow.
that you got. I was talking about it in the episode where I was doing it alone. That I thought Kirill Kaprizov was close to return. So, if he scores again, he will be the franchise goals record in Minnesota, and be on the lookout for that as we will congratulate him when that happens. But
Wow.
going into the game, the Minnesota Wild actually opens the scoring to make it 1-0. Kirill Kaprizov on a power play from Matt Boldy and Quinn Hughes makes it 1-0 with at 16:09 in the first. And Logan Mayu ties the game with his second of the season to make it 1-1. And then we go into the third period where Pavel Bushnevich would score what would be the game winner off a wrist shot at 16:21 from an assist by Snuggerud. And then Robert Thomas, off an assist from yet again Pavel Bushnevich, would get the empty netter to ice the game for the St. Louis Blues. I do know that there was a clip in this one. Kyle can scroll down to where it shows Hofer flashes the glove on Tarasenko. Hofer did actually make a beautiful save to deny Vladimir Tarasenko of tying the game late. So, Hofer was a brick wall tonight. And
Do you
it's
want me to
part of the
actually
reason
open the? Do you want me to actually pull up the video, Jakob? I could.
I'm worried that we're gonna get copyrighted. So maybe it's a good thing we don't.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
But go to the 3 stars of the game. Obviously, you see Joel Hofer. He had a phenomenal performance. He allowed one on the 23 he faced, had himself a 957. Robert Thomas, with the 2 points in his return, was the second star. And then the man, the myth, the legend, Kirill Kaprizov, was the third star with 1 point. Obviously, we mentioned the goalie performances for the St. Louis Blues, but we will talk about the Minnesota goalie performance, which was Philip Gustafson, the man who puked in his crease, was the goalie for this one, and he allowed 2 on 23 and had himself a 913 save percentage. So not bad, but at the end of the day, it's not good enough for the win. And the season series was tied between these two teams, and they will meet once more on April 13th to decide the winner of this series. Unfortunately, there could not be no tie breaker because they can't just tie a game. But yeah, good performance by the St. Louis Blues, and definitely the St. Louis Blues are a team that are going to sell. And there is actually a lot of key names like Braden Shen, Justin Folk, Robert Thomas, Jordan Cairo. You expect all those players to be moved right right at the trade deadline, as those peoples are in trade talks. As with the Blues being as bad as they are in rebuilding mode, they will not want to keep those, and those guys will want to go to contenders. So do expect trades to happen for all four of those guys.
Absolutely, I agree, Jakob. But I will move on to my last game that I'm going to recap on the day, and we see the Florida Panthers visiting the New York Islanders, and the visiting Florida Panthers would be beat by said New York Islanders 5-4, and they would actually outshoot the Islanders 33-26. But obviously, the Islanders goaltender was good enough, and as you can see in the headline, Anders Lee, I guess, scored with 32 seconds left to edge out the Panthers and get them their fifth win in a row. And then Schaefer had 2 goals, including 20th of the season, which he did break the record at 18 not too long ago for a rookie defender. So I guess he's just
Mm-hmm.
expanding on his own record, which great for him. And apparently Florida has lost 7 of their last 9, which for a team deep
Yikes.
in the playoff race, they're gonna need these wins. And fortunately, they don't get it in this one. But yeah, you're to open the score in the first period. It was actually the Florida Panthers. Sandis Filmanis with his third year, and he did actually represent Latvia at the Olympics, but he scores on a backhand shot, just 3 minutes 44 seconds, and that would be assisted by AJ Greer and Sergei Bobrovsky with his, I guess, second assist of the year. So good for him. Then moving on to the second goal, which this one would come on the power play off of a Sam Bennett shot, and that would be assisted by Aaron Ekblad and Matthew Tkachuk. 14 minutes 54 seconds in, so just over 5 minutes left on the clock. But Matthew Schaefer, which this kid's unreal. He's amazing, and he scores a slap shot with under 2 minutes left in the period, and he narrows the lead and he makes it 2-1 in favor of the Panthers, assisted by Ryan Pollock and Matt Barzal. Then moving into the second period, Carson Soucy would score with his new team. By the way, he was a New York Ranger earlier in the season, as Jakob and I did speak about that trade as well. But yes, this
Mm-hmm.
would come 7 minutes and 28 seconds into the second period, so a bit before the halfway point. And yeah, they would tie the game. But the Panthers, weren't going to let their hopes be done, because obviously they were still in this as a tie game. And Sam Bennett, again, assisted by Matthew Tkachuk, again, would score on the backhand at the I guess just under 8 minutes left on the clock in the period. And then before the end of the second period, Bo Horvat would tie the game for the New York Islanders. And moving into the third period, we see Matt Schaefer give the Islanders their first lead of the night, and that would come just past the halfway point of the third period. And then that would be assisted by Andre Palat, who, by the way, is also a New York Islander because he was a Devil before.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, the Panthers in their no quit fashion with under 2 minutes on the clock. Sam Reinhart scores the tying goal, and that would be assisted by Aaron Ekblad. And Matthew Tkachuk, I guess, had himself a game because he had his third assist. But like the caption said, the Panthers did not end this night in glory. They ended it in despair with Anders Lee scoring the what would stand as the game winner with 32 seconds left on the clock, assisted by Tony DeAngelo and Adam Pelech. And wow, this game, I mean, for fans of both teams, it must have been an absolute roller coaster of emotions. But moving on to your 3 stars tonight, Matthew Schaefer with his 2 goals and an assist. Of course, your first star, which deservingly so. Anders Lee with the game winner would be your second star of the night. And then Sam Bennett with his 2 goals would be your third star of the night. And man, I guess apparently the Islanders tie the season series here. So late, I guess right near the end of this month, we will see these two teams battle it out, and the winner of the season series will be decided then. But yes, I will move on to the goaltending performances, and we will go over Sergei Bobrovsky of the Florida Panthers first, of course, and we would see him have an 808 save percentage, so he allowed 5 on 26. And then I will move over to the New York Islanders, which I believe it was Sorokin, but I could have been wrong, and I was wrong. It was indeed David Riddick, where he allowed 4 goals on 33 shots for an 879 save percentage. And actually, I do remember speaking about that now because David Riddick was projected to start yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Jakob, that is your final 5-4 in favor of the New York Islanders.
We will move on to the last game on this one, which this is a game that, this is a team that I really don't want to speak about because, they have passed our Edmonton Oilers, and unfortunately they are climbing in. Our Edmonton Oilers are dropping, but the Anaheim Ducks have won 5 games in a row now, and they are putting up points, and they are putting up the necessary points needed to make a playoff spot. But they win this one 3-2 over the division rivals, the Calgary Flames, and this one would be won in a shootout. We'll go over the goal scorers real quick. Joel Farabee opens the scoring in the first period at 9:41 in to make it 1-0 for the Flames. Then Cutter Gauthier ties the game in the second period, halfway through the second period. That would be assisted by Leo Carlson. Then Yegor Sharangovich would make it 2-1 for Calgary on the power play from Ryan Lomberg and Beecher. Oh, excuse me, from Ball and Frost, not from. I was looking at the other game. I had the other goal pulled up. My bad, guys. Then Cutter Gauthier in the third period would tie the game halfway through with a beautiful slap shot goal from probably from the point. I'm not sure from where on the power play. Assisted by Jackson Lacombe and Beckett Sinecki. Beckett Sinecki with his 30th assist of the season, so phenomenal play by the youngster. And then Mason McTavish would score what would be the shootout winner on a wrist shot to win the game. And as we can see, the season series, Anaheim does lead this one, and both games actually that they've played so far has gone to either overtime or later. So both teams have either gotten a point or more. And we'll go over the 3 stars of the game. Cutter Gauthier was the first star with 2 goals and 2 points for the first. Leo Carlson with his assist was the second star, and then Lukas Dostal, who allowed 2 goals and had a 941 save percentage, was the third star of the game. We'll go over the Calgary Flames goalie performance, which saw Evan Cooley have had a pretty. This was a good goalie battle as he allowed 2 on 36 and himself a 944 save percentage. So still a phenomenal goalie performance, but a shootout is very unpredictable. It's based on who can put the puck in net and who can, what goalie is not tired after, playing 65 minutes of regular hockey and then having to play a shootout mentally and physically. This is a true mental test, and this one, Lucas Dostal was the true winner in this one. But yeah, the Calgary Flames lose this one 3-2 to the red hot Anaheim Ducks.
Well, there you have it, folks. That is your final game for yesterday's schedule. And on that note, Jakob, are you ready to move on to today's schedule?
I am ready, and I'm ready to move on to the starting goalies as well.
All right, which obviously I will announce the games and the time as always, and Jakob will, say the starting goaltenders. So the first match of the day, which by the way, as of when we were recording this one is already underway, but we have the Detroit Red Wings visiting the Nashville Predators, and that game was at 12 p.m. Mountain Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
And that was John Gibson, who I did mention did get hurt. Uh, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow against UC Soros.
Then moving on to the Columbus Blue Jackets visiting the New York Rangers, we have at 5 p.m. Mountain Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I almost said the starting goalies because I'm looking ahead, I guess. Oops.
And we have that game was Elvis Merzlinkins against Igor Shesterkin.
All right, and this next game will be at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see the Philadelphia Flyers visit the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we have a net.
Dan Vladar against Anthony Stolars.
There we go, Jakob. You got the cue this time. That was beautiful. All
I
right,
did.
then for our next matchup, which will come at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, and that'll be 10 p.m. Eastern Time, so late for you folks out on the East Coast. But that will see the Dallas Stars visiting the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, brother, did we lose Jakob here?
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, can you say that one more time? Because unfortunately, you lagged out for a second and they did not hear what you said for the starting goalies.
That was Jake Ottinger against Nikita Tolopilo.
It was so funny because when you cut back into reality, you were saying Tolopilo, so it's like Tolopilo. That was what it sounded like in my ear, and you'll probably be able to hear it on
Oh,
the YouTube videos. I think we're gonna go back and look at that
wow.
right after this.
Definitely, definitely.
But yeah, then of course in our next matchup we have Carolina Hurricanes visiting the Seattle Kraken, and that game will also be at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is the last matchup for that time frame.
Now it's going to be likely to be Frederick Anderson of the Danes against Joey Decord.
Yep. And then, of course, in our final match of the day, we have the Colorado Avalanche visiting the LA Kings, and I'm hoping Colorado can win this one, but that'll be at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time and 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
That is going to be likely to be Mackenzie Blackwood against Anton Forsberg. So there you have it, folks. All the goalie performance, all the goalie schedules are there for everyone to see. And now, with that being said, let's go ahead and do our picks of the day, which I will let Kyle do his two picks of the day for today.
All right. Well, I closed the stream, Jakob. So of course we didn't have any yesterday, which we apologize for that. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this schedule. And what am I feeling today? Well, I guess I need to make two player and two team picks, don't I?
That is true, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the. I'm going to take one game that's already started. I'm going to take the Flyers to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, and
Okay.
and I will take the Seattle Kraken to beat the Carolina Hurricanes, and then
Okay.
I think we will see a Artemi Panarin goal,
Okay.
and you know what, Yako? I'm gonna go back to a pick that I made the other day. I'm gonna go with a Jordan Eberle point once again.
All right. Well, me on the other hand, I'm going to take a Dallas Stars win over the Vancouver Canucks, and I'm going to take a Colorado win over the LA Kings. And my two player picks, I'm going to take a Wyatt Johnson point for the Dallas Stars, and I'm going to take a Sebastian Aho point for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Okay, I like it. And just to recap that, I chose the Seattle Kraken to beat the Carolina Hurricanes and the Flyers to beat the Leafs, which, Yaka, right after I made the prediction, the Leafs just scored.
Oh God.
Well, it's still early in that one, so we'll see. But yeah, and then for my player picks, I chose an Artemi Panarin goal, which I think he will get his first with the Kings, and of course a Jordan Eberle point once again.
And for me, I put the Dallas Stars to beat the Vancouver Canucks and the Colorado Avalanche to beat the LA Kings. And I said a Wyatt Johnson point for the Dallas Stars, and a Sebastian Aho point for the Carolina Hurricanes. So there you have it, folks. We will see you guys tomorrow to see how we do. But the question of the day, as we did not was not able to do the question of the day, and my question of the day for you guys is, what player are you guys looking to get traded? If you guys, I believe some of you guys have favorite NHL teams, and if you have a current NHL favorite NHL team, what player are you hoping that your team gets at this year's trade deadline?
Or who
So
are you
let me
hoping
know.
gets traded? But on the other end, assuming you cheer for a team that is a bottom feeder.
There you have it, folks. So let us know what you guys think, and yeah, let us like and comment, subscribe, and leave your comment down below. And as I do want to mention, me and Kyle, if you guys have not already seen it, have made dun 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 YouTube shorts for today, guys. We talked about the Robert Thomas trade rumor and what teams we thought he was going to go to, and Kyle talked about the
Connor Murphy trade, of course, on that. And it's in a shorter form context, so just briefly summarizes some numbers. And yeah, be sure to go check those out. They are also posted as Instagram Reels on Instagram, which our Instagram, once again, which I did mention early in the episode, is IKNHL Daily Talk, and there's a space between each word.
yeah, and do leave a comment, as we will read everybody's comments throughout the videos. But yeah, thank you. We wanted to do these YouTube shorts so that you guys can interact with us, and you guys can see, we can get more views and more likes. So yeah, we did that today, and do expect a lot more than just this, as we figured out finally a way to do it.
Yes, we did. And actually, Jakob, going off the note a little bit, and this isn't actually technically NHL related, but it is still hockey. And I would like to congratulate my hometown team, which I went to the game yesterday, and Jakob does know what team I'm referring to, as we watched them on, or I guess he watched the broadcast live online or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I live in Fort McMurray, Alberta, and we have a junior team here in the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. And yesterday they clinched a playoff spot to, go ahead and face off against whoever in the playoffs, because obviously we don't know their matchup yet. But yeah, we clinched a playoff spot, and that made me pretty happy, especially with the overtime winner and everything. And yeah, that was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah, that puck just barely squeezed by, but hey, we got enough to squeeze by it. So, it was a
Hmm.
great, phenomenal win, and it was 3-2 for the Oil Barons over the Bonneville Pontiacs. And Brennan G, shout out to you. You've played a heck of a game last night. We just wanted to congratulate you. Were making saves like you were prime Carey Price.
Maybe he
So
is.
maybe he is. We don't know, but he was playing. He was
Hmm.
playing extraordinary last night. So congrats to you, buddy.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. And then, actually, I'd like to shout out the guy who scored the overtime winner in Spencer Coons, because I'm not sure if he's still there, but I actually know that a friend of mine from high school was the Billet family that he was staying with. So I've actually met Spencer Coons and interacted with him a few times and had some conversation with him. And it was cool, to see him score the overtime winner when it's someone that you actually know who plays for that roster. On that note, Jakob,
Yeah.
didn't you say that your brother knows a few players that play for that roster as well?
Yeah, my brother does know. My brother does know a few players. As you know, he has played in the minor hockey league, and he's played alongside some players. So I just want to shout out real quick three of them that I've known, that I've been around. But Cash Burbont, obviously my brother played with him, and my parents talked to his parents a long time, and we've all talked. So shout out to him. Shout out to Jagger John, which unfortunately he did not play last night, as he is playing currently
Hmm.
with the Saskatoon Blades of the WHL. So
Oh.
he's in the major junior, so he's playing phenomenally up there. And you guys can all go check out their profiles on Elite Prospects. And do, while you're at Elite Prospects, go search up David Aaron. David Aaron's name is also there, as David is also on a juniors team this year as well. So, and the last player that I do want to mention, that he did score last night for the Oil Barons,
Hmm.
Carter Ellsworth. I believe
Hmm.
I refed him when I was at Holy Trinity, and I refed the ball hockey tournament that was going on at I believe it was either Sister Mary, no, St. Martha. So, shout out to all three of them. And yeah, I don't, maybe Kyle doesn't know this, but you can go check out David Aaron on Elite Prospects, and you will find him. Unfortunately, he has 5 points in 44 games played. So he's not the world's best player, but he is a third slash fourth liner at times. So, when he does play on the third line, he does have a good game. And then when he plays on the fourth line, he doesn't get much playing time. And obviously that relates to, less goals. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. But shout out to everybody that we just shouted out. And yeah,
Dang, yeah. I actually just pulled up David's page right here, right now, and yeah,
you should show the broadcast.
here. Oh man. Okay, well, I'll try to. I don't know how
Show it off
clear.
your phone.
I don't know how clear it'll be, but here he is. This is Jakob's brother and David. Which, oh brother. Okay, there we go. Oh, why does it show? Here, I don't want to submit a photo, but there we go. That is him, and then I'll try to show the stats because I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. But actually, in his last 5 games, he has a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. So he's been getting some increased minutes by the looks of it. And I guess his player type is energy forward, heavy hitter, and playmaker. Is that accurate, Jakob?
Yeah, that
And
is.
then,
I don't know about the heavy hitter part. I mean, he's been getting, yeah, but there you have it, folks. In 42 games played, he has 5 points. But like I mentioned, he has been playing on that third slash fourth line. He started the season on the fourth line, and then gradually over the last few games, he's been bumped up to the third line, which he's actually been playing good because on the third line, he does have a few players that, are actually really good over there. So, yeah, but, I don't know about the heavy hitter part. The heavy hitter part is kind of, but he has been hitting. He's been getting a lot, more physical. He is a playmaker. He's been getting a lot of assists, and yeah, he is playing phenomenally for that team. And they have one more game here on March 12th, March 6th, excuse me, at 12 p.m. against for a spot in the playoffs. And if they win, they will be playing a best of three series against the best team as of right now, which is the Tampa Bay Juniors.
ooh, well, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Jakob, do you have anything else to add, or are we done yapping and we're ready to close this episode out?
I'm done yapping. I just wanted to shout out everybody that we shouted out.
Yeah, but no, that was definitely fun to watch. And on that note, yeah, you guys already got our question of the day. And yeah, I'm ready to close this out. So thank you all for listening, of course, as always. We appreciate your support. Please leave a comment on anything or, leave a like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. You get the gist. I'm sure you've heard that from other YouTubers before. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everybody.